Hello, everyone. It is July 27th, 2021. Today's afternoon devotional and Bible study. If you're tuning in right when this is live, I am sorry I didn't get a title to it. I went to go hit title, but instead I accidentally hit go live. It is the 27th of July. Today we're going to be reading Jesus is Calling, and we're going to be reading chapter 2 of First Kings. Um, without further ado, let's jump into today's devotional from Jesus is Calling. Hope is a golden cord connecting you to heaven. This cord helps you hold your head up high, even when multiple trials are buffeting you. I never leave your side. I never let go of your hand. But without the cord of hope, your head may slump and your feet may shuffle as you journey uphill with me. Hope lifts your perspectives from your weary feet to the glorious view you can see from the high road. You are reminded that the road we're traveling together is ultimately a highway to heaven. When you consider this radiant destination, the roughness or smoothness of the road ahead becomes much less significant. I am training you to hold you in your heart a dual focus, my continual presence and the hope of heaven. And that was inspired by 3 different sections of the Bible. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, and faithful in prayer. Romans 12:12. But since we belong to the day, let us be self-controlled, putting on faith and love as a breastplate, and the hope of salvation as a helmet. 1 Thessalonians 5:8. And then God did this so that by 2 unchangeable things in which it is impossible for God to lie, we who have fled to take hold of this hope offered to us may be greatly encouraged. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. It enters the inner sanctuary behind the curtain. Hebrews 6:18-19. Yeah. That idea of that golden cord of hope, that lifeline connecting us to God. And as Christians, no matter what's going on, we always have hope. Not only hope for this circumstance, but hope for the outcome, hope for those that might be persecuting us or anything like that, and hope that we have a life after this one, a life in the fullness of God in the kingdom of heaven. But that's not just for then, it's also for now. That's kind of cool. And that's that. So now we're going to jump into the book of Second Kings. So, story so far, yesterday, we had one of King David's sons that never really got disciplined, not even to the point of like, what are you doing? That just kind of ran rampant. He was rich, he was spoiled, and he's like, I'm going to become king. Look at how awesome I am. I'm going to become king. Let's get 30, 40 people in here. Let's celebrate, because when my dad dies, I'm going to become king. And then that Solomon character, we'll just lock him up or something. I mean, a long time ago, my dad said that he was going to be king, but come on, I'm awesome. Word made it back to Solomon and his mother, and then Bathsheba, by the way, that story of the woman on the roof, yep. David goes, all right, no, that's not okay. We'll just make Solomon king. I'm too old to kind of confront things. Let's just make Solomon king while, I'm still alive. And that's what happened. Solomon became king. The city rejoiced. They got all the right people in line, and then the other son, the spoiled son, it was like Adojai, I think was his name. Um, like everyone in his party just kind of split up. They're like, "Oh no, we're all gonna die for, you know, treason, I guess." And he goes up to Solomon and he's like, "Please, please don't kill me. Whatever you do." He's like, "As long as you don't, rise up against me, you don't cause like trouble to try to overthrow the throne, you're gonna be okay." And like he steps down and he gives like these horns to Solomon, and yeah, now that's kind of where we are, and now we're gonna continue that story. The last thing Solomon says to Adonijah is like, "Yeah, as long as you don't try to kill me, you're okay. Go home." Which I just think is funny. All right, so David's final instructions to Solomon, chapter 2, the book of First Kings. Yeah, without further ado, let's jump into it. As the time of King David's death approached, he gave this charge to his son, Solomon. "I am going where everyone on earth must someday go. Take courage and be a man. Observe the requirements of the Lord your God and follow all his ways. Keep the decrees, commands, regulations, and laws written in the law of Moses, so that you will be successful in all you do and wherever you go. If you do this, then the Lord will keep the promise he made to me. He told me, if your descendants live as they should and follow me faithfully with all their heart and soul, one of them will always sit on the throne of Israel. And there is something else. You know what Joab, son of Zeruiah, did to me when he murdered my 2 army commanders, Abner, son of Ner, and Amash, son of Jether. He pretended that it was an act of war, but it was done at a time of peace, staining his belt and sandals with innocent blood. Staining his blood and sandals with innocent blood. Do with him what you think is best, but don't let him grow old and go to his grave in peace. Be kind to the sons of Barzillai of Gilead. Make them permanent guests at your table, for they took care of me when I fled from your brother Absalom. And remember Shimei, son of Gera, the man from Bermam and Benjamin. He cursed me with a terrible curse, and as I was fleeing to Mahanaim. When he came down to meet me at the Jordan River, I swore by the Lord that I would not kill him. But that oath does not make him innocent. You are a wise man, and you will know how to arrange a bloody death for him." Then David died and was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. David had reigned over Israel for 40 years, 7 of them in Hebron, and 33 in Jerusalem. Solomon became king and sat on the throne of David, his father, and his kingdom was firmly established. Solomon establishes his rule. Verse 13. 1 second. One day, Adonijah, whose mother was Haggith, came to see Bathsheba, Solomon's mother. "Have you come with peaceful intentions?" she asked him. "Yes," he said. "I come in peace. In fact, I have a favor to ask you." "What is it?" she asked. He replied, "As you know, The kingdom was rightfully mine. All Israel wanted me to be the next king. But the tables were turned, and the kingdom went to my brother instead. For that is the way the Lord wanted it. So now I have just one favor to ask you. Please don't turn me down. What is it? She asked. He replied, Speak to King Solomon on my behalf, for I know he will do anything you request. Ask him to let me marry Abishag, the girl from Shunem. All right, Bathsheba replied. I will speak to the king for you. So Bathsheba went to King Solomon to speak on Adonijah's behalf. The king rose from his throne to meet her and bowed down before her. When he sat down on his throne again, the king ordered that the throne be brought for his mother, and she sat at his right hand. I have one small request to make of you, she said. I hope you won't turn me down. What is it, mother? He asked. You know I won't refuse you. Then let your brother Adonijah marry Abishag, the girl from Shunem, she replied. How can you possibly ask me to give Abishag to Adonijah? King Solomon demanded. You might as well ask me to give him the kingdom. You know that he is my older brother, and that he has Abiathar the priest and Joab son of Zeruiah on his side. Then King Solomon made a vow before the Lord. May God strike me and even kill me if Adonijah is not sealed his fate with this request. The Lord has confirmed me and placed me on the throne of my father David. He has established my destiny as he promised. So as surely as the Lord lives, Adonijah will die this very day. So King Solomon ordered Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, to execute him, and Adonijah was put to death. Then the king said to Abiathar the priest, Go back to your home in Anathoth. You deserve to die, but I will not kill you now, because you carried the ark of the sovereign Lord for David my father, and you spared all his hardships. So Solomon disposed Abiathar from his position as priest of the Lord, thereby fulfilling the prophecy that the Lord had given Sheloth concerning the descendants of Eli. Joab had not joined Absalom's earlier rebellion, but had joined Adonijah's rebellion. So when Joab heard about Adonijah's death, he ran to the sacred tent of the Lord and grabbed on to the horns of the altar. When he was reported to King Solomon, he sent Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, to execute him. Benaiah went to the sacred tent of the Lord and said to Joab, The king orders you to come out. But Joab answered, No, I will die here. So Benaiah returned to the king and told him what Joab had said. Do as he said, the king replied. Kill him there beside the altar and bury him. This will remove the guilt of Joab's senseless murders from me and from my father's family. Then the Lord will repay him for the murders of two men who were more righteous and better than he. For my father knew nothing about the deaths of Abner's son Ner, commander of the army of Israel, and of Ashama, son of Jether, commander of the army of Judah. May their blood be on Joab and his descendants forever. And may the Lord grant peace forever to David and his descendants, his destiny, and his throne. So Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, whatever I was saying before, returned to the sacred tent and killed Joab. But he was buried at his home in the wilderness. Then the king appointed Benaiah to command the army in place of Joab, and he installed Zodok, the priest, to take the place of Abiathar. The king sent for Shimei and told him, "Build a house here in Jerusalem and live there, but don't step outside of the city anywhere else. On the day you so much as cross the Kidron Valley, you will surely die, and your blood will be on your own head." Shimei replied, "Your sentence is fair. I will do whatever my lord the king commands." So Shimei lived in Jerusalem for a long time. But 3 years later, 2 of Shimei's slaves ran away to King Ashish, son of Mach of Gath. When Shimei learned where they were, he saddled his donkey and went to Gath to search for them. When he found them, he brought them back to Jerusalem. Solomon heard that Shimei had left Jerusalem and had gone to Gath and returned. So the king sent for Shimei and demanded, "Didn't I make you swear by the Lord and warn you not to go anywhere else, or you would surely die?" And you replied, "The sentence is fair. I will do as you say." Then why haven't you kept the oath to the Lord and obeyed my command? The king also said to Shimei, "You certainly remember all the wicked things you did to my father, David. May the Lord now bring that evil on your own head. But may I, King Solomon, receive the Lord's blessings, and may one of David's descendants always sit on this throne in the presence of the Lord." Then at the king's command, Benaiah, son of Jehoiada, took Shimei outside and killed him. So the kingdom was now firmly in Solomon's grip. May God add a blessing to the reading of his word. So there's one part here that foreshadows something in the New Testament, something Jesus related, and that's 1 Kings 2:3-4. "Observe the requirements of the Lord your God, and follow his ways, all his ways. Keep the decrees, commands, regulations, and laws written in the law of Moses, so that you will be successful in all you do and wherever you go. If you do this, then the Lord will keep the promise he made to me. He told me, if your descendants live as they should and follow me faithfully with all their heart and soul, one of them will sit on the throne of Israel." Here we see the impossible high standard God expects his people to maintain. They are to be holy in every way, but have no ability to persevere without sinning. It's into this hopeless performance culture that Jesus comes, wiping out the outward adherence to the law by transforming our very nature by his Spirit. Romans 5:18-19. So part of this is, that performance side of things, something that we talked against in as we read the book of Ezekiel, and God really frowns on that performance culture, performing for others and performing for him. He knows our hearts. He knows our minds. We can pray to him in silence. We can pray to him with our mouths. He knows what's going on. And that performance culture that of faith is not something that he appreciates. And one of the things that God later really hammers forward is when we worship God, we worship him in spirit. So something that might be a little bit hard for us to kind of wrap our heads around, but in truth. So when we act truthfully, that's bringing honor to God. It's a way of worshiping God when we're honest, we're going forward, and we're doing that, and with our spirit. That's a little bit harder to describe. I want to refer you to YUTV on YouTube. They cover it really well. There's a couple other things in here that I thought was really interesting and worth bringing up. One, the way that Adonai's first request to Bathsheba is presented, it sounds like, okay, I get it. I'm not going to be king, even though, come on, look at me, I'm awesome. I should be king, but I'm not going to be king, and that's okay. The only thing I ask is that I can marry this beautiful woman. And it almost sounds like he's asking, can I marry this woman for love? Can I just, you know, if I can't be king, at least let me be happy, is what it sounds like. And Bathsheba has a kind heart, and everything that we read about her in the first one sounded reasonable, and the request comes off fairly favorably to Bathsheba. So she goes and presents it to Solomon, and Solomon, who is known for his wisdom, when Bathsheba goes, well, I have this one request, and it's just like, he's lost so much, just let him marry this girl. And Solomon sees through it. It's not just let me be happy. It's not a marrying for love. It's a strategic marriage, something that was very, very common back then. And basically, by this marriage happening, there would have been like a power transfer going on, and it would have been almost like a big political play. In today's day and age, you see celebrity couples that marry in order to get better metrics or go on dates so that they can be in the limelight, so that their movie might perform better and they might win favor with this group of people or that group of people. It's this political power move and structure to be on the hearts and the minds of the people. And I don't know a ton about her, but I could speculate that she was also probably from a royal family, as that was often the case back then, if I have the timeline right. So this is only the third king change in Israel. So it's not like the Israelites have a ton of history with this, but there was a lot of other nations that had a bunch of history, and a lot of times married kingdoms would pop up, and marriages would happen as almost a deal to say, yes, we will kind of join power for now, and so on and so forth. So it seems like a very political move that Solomon sees right through and goes, no, he promised me that he's not going to make this political move and that he would be safe if he didn't do it. So now that he's trying to trick me, he's trying to trick you, mother. No, that's not okay. I said that he could live as long as he didn't do something like this, and he did something like this. And the ones that helped him come up with that plan, he's not that smart, also are going to punish for what they did. But I'm going to show them a little bit more mercy, and gave them ways out, and they all failed. And the greatest opposition to Solomon's throne, the people that stood against him, kind of standing against God, slowly but surely made mistakes. And I don't know a ton about what was going on with the last guy, but the fact that his slaves ran away, and then he was like, oh, I'm going to go get them myself. Why did they run away? My first thought is that he's probably not all that nice of a guy. The Bible actually, up to this point, had a couple of ways of giving slaves a lot of dignity. It doesn't sound like he followed through with that, and they ran away, and he got put to death for doing it, and he recognized the punishment as fair, and he had to pay the consequences. Back in these times, a lot of things were life and death, and it's kind of hard for us to wrap our head around. But if you're reading this for the first time, you might be like, why on earth is him asking to marry someone and be happy Why is that so wrong? And you, like, in context, it really feels like this was this political move, and that's why they all ended up getting punished for the attempt at deceit that Solomon saw through. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting one. Um, the other thing about that I thought was really cool was as soon as Bathsheba comes in and his mother comes in, he gets up and he bows. He shows his mom respect. He shows his mom, um, like, not only like respect and love and honor within that, but also a little bit of authority in a way, and gets her a chair or a throne to sit in beside him as well. Um, Showing, so much love, and not only that, but like showing that women have value and importance. Even back in the third reign of a king in Israel, he shows the importance and value of women by honoring his mom in such a way, which really stood out to me. I think that's really cool. But yeah, anyways, let's pray. And yeah, AJC, awesome Jesus Christ, I pray that you can help us to hold on to that cord, that golden cord of hope that we talked about during today's devotional, in whatever circumstance we find ourselves in. Lord, help us to learn your ways, to learn your laws, your commands, and that, following you doesn't become a performance. Following you doesn't become look at me, look at how good I'm doing, Lord, but to truly give our lives to you, warts and all. And I thank you so much for forgiving us every time we make mistakes as we try to kind of move forward. But let our moving forward not be hollow, but have it be meaningful and with purpose. And Lord, let us try not to manipulate situations for our own personal gain, like Adonai tried to do, and the others that supported him, Joab and the other guy who I'm forgetting. Lord, help us not to just kind of formulate plots and circumstances to gain personal power. And when you lay out these things, help us to understand, like, yeah, touching fire is bad, and help us to have the strength not to touch it. And when we do, Lord, help us to turn to you and give it to you right away. Yeah, Lord, I thank you for all the ways that you love us, and you guide us and you direct us. And I thank you for this early show of the importance of women in the world. Not only is this marriage going to be something that will change the scales of power if this woman enters into the family, but also with Bathsheba and having that throne next to the king and being someone that the king bows down to. And later on, Jesus bows down to his disciples, calling them friends. Lord, I thank you for that. And a train just went by. I thought they were taking out the train tracks. So I pray that that's safe. And yeah, Lord, thank you so much for all the ways that you love us, you guide us, and you direct us. Help us to love mercy, to seek justice, and to walk humbly with you, Lord. I said that in just like a sick order, but you know what I mean. Yeah, thank you very much, Lord. Amen. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me once again. Tomorrow, it's probably going to be a little bit later because we got a paint day going on. My toe is not overly happy today, so if you're tossing up a prayer for me physically, I could really use some healing with my feet. So yeah, thank you very much. Amen. Later.